Hey everyone, welcome back to the Hess Sports Podcast. I'm Chef2K and we're going to get right into it. Yesterday I meant to upload it, but I had some trouble. As I was recording, I was 52 minutes in and the memory card filled up. So I have to redo it. But yeah, we're going to get right into it. We had a crazy week last week in the NFL. The college football was okay. We had some upsets, but it wasn't as strong as a week as this next week will be for the college football, because we're starting to get into conference play, and that's always fun, because anything can happen now. Anything can happen week 1, and 2, but it'll get crazy here in a few. It's gonna get crazy here. Last week, I went 11-5 on my. We're gonna get right into the NFL. Last week I was 11-5. I got the teams I got wrong were the Panthers, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, and Eagles. The Eagles just got injured. They got the injury bug. The Broncos, I picked them simply because I like the quarterback of the Broncos more than I do the Bears quarterback. Neither team can score very much, but what I do know is that the Bears finally found their kicker. The Titans disappointed me. I mean the Titans. I This was one of those picks that I was kind of afraid of because as I said in my last video that I liked Jacoby Brissett and I don't think it's the end of the world for the Colts, and so I wasn't that mad that the Colts won because that wasn't a surefire pick for me. The Chargers, who would have thought the Lions could beat the Chargers? The Lions are a weird team, they'll have that one game where they'll have that one game where you go, huh? Are they that good? And then the next week they'll have that win, that random win when they weren't supposed to, and then the next week they'll lose then they'll lose again. And the Chargers got to clean things up. They're wildly inconsistent. And then I was wrong with the Panthers. The Panthers don't look very good right now. Cam Newton does not look very good right now. They have the pieces around Cam, but Cam is not healthy in my opinion. He does not look healthy. One thing I would suggest for Cam is to reinvent his throwing motion. When he throws it, it looks like he's doing this, right? What I want to see him do is get it up here. If you watch quarterbacks in the NFL, if you've ever played quarterback, I have. And I learned how to throw properly. No, every style is different, but when you throw it here, you see how I throw it. See it, when you throw it, see the trajectory. If I'm up here, see how much better that is. Because a lot of times when Cam Newton throws it, it's underthrown or it's overthrown. He tends to throw off his back foot. I know he's injured at the shoulder right now. I think I would sit Cam Newton for a couple of games and see what Will Grier can do. Because maybe if Will Grier performs well, while Cam Newton gets well, maybe you could get a few draft picks for Will Grier. Or you move on from Cam, But the last thing you want to do is have another Andrew Luck situation, and that feels like I feel like that's where we're headed with Cam Newton, He doesn't throw the ball well. He hasn't really, but now with his injury, he's really not doing that very well. He's gotten even worse. I think the Buccaneers now the Bucs are an inconsistent team in my opinion. Do I think they can do that next week versus the? Do I think the Buccaneers can replicate that versus the The Giants, probably, but we'll see. You know, James Winston for once didn't turn the ball over. In fact, he had a pretty good game. Cam Newton had a good game, but it wasn't. But he had 49% completions, and that's not good. The Bucks are hard to. The Bucks, as I said, are a hard team to figure out because week one they absolutely get stomped by. Week one, you know, things are going well, and then James Winston throws 3 interceptions, and the 49ers Bucks have no chance against that. The 49ers build too big of a lead, and there's really no answer for the Buccaneers. Though I will say the 49ers are looking better. They're looking much better. Maybe it's just because 49ers are better than the Bucks, and that's probably true. But because they just beat the Bengals 41-17. But I thought the Panthers would beat the Bucks simply because of the turnovers that James Winston commits. That wasn't the case. Neither quarterback turned the ball over last night. Neither team turned the ball over on Thursday, but and I also thought the Panthers would win simply because it's Thursday night, you know, and the home team usually is the team that performs the best. I was disappointed. Who impressed me the most was the 49ers, as I said. The Falcons, even though their defense needs to do better, you know, they kept Philadelphia in it, even though Philadelphia is injured. I would say, I think they let the Eagles a little too off the hook. The Cardinals impressed me, even though they didn't win. They showed some fight on defense. They played scrappy defense, and they had a late rally, and only lost by 6 to the Ravens, who I thought were gonna roll the Cardinals like they did the Dolphins. The Colts impressed me. The Lions, I don't know if you say that you would say impressed, but the 49ers, they're on a roll right now. Can they keep up the momentum? We'll have to find out. Jimmy Garoppolo is playing at a high level. The defense is playing at a high level, but it remains to be seen. I was disappointed in the Chargers. You know, the Lions. The Lions are a random team, but you can't. But if you're the Chargers, you can't lose that team. I could see the Lions beating someone like, you know, like the Bengals randomly, or you know they'll beat the, or I can't think of a good one, but Chargers. That's not a game that you should have lost. You know, you still can't kick a field goal. You know, and you let the Lions beat you. I think you need to get better. Philip Rivers needs to play better. The Titans, they need to play better. The Packers defense looks great. Packers defense is looking great. The Vikings had opportunities to win that game. I thought the Vikings should have run it a little bit more. They got away from it and it ended up hurting them because they had to get into they had to play passing, which isn't good because Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins' career is he'll play well for 3 quarters and then he'll throw an interception when you need it most. He'll hand you the win when you need it most. The NFC South is inconsistent as the Dak Prescott's still looking good, albeit versus the Redskins. The Patriots are too good. Yes, they did play the Dolphins, and they did play the Dolphins, who aren't very good. They got shut out, but they handled their business. So did the Cowboys. The NFC South to me is inconsistent. You know, they got the Bucks, Panthers, Saints, and Atlanta. All 4 of those teams you would say are inconsistent. Now the Saints had a bad break versus the Rams. The Drew Brees is down, but I wouldn't worry too much. you could make the case that Teddy Bridgewater is similar to Drew Brees in the fact that Drew Brees doesn't turn the ball over very often. Drew Brees has had a couple of those seasons where he has been in the 20s in interceptions, but he normally does a good job at managing the game, and making plays when needed. And Teddy Bridgewater is a game manager. That's what he was when he was the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings before he went down. Yeah. The AFC North was already won. Big. Has the AFC North already been won? I don't know personally, but the Ravens look like the front runners. Browns only beat the Jets, and the Jets are down to the third string quarterback, and the Jets aren't very good. The Steelers no longer have Big Ben Roethlisberger, although I wouldn't hang your hats because I think Mason Rudolph could be pretty good for you guys. He might not make the playoffs, but I think you guys might end up liking him more than you do now. You might start to appreciate him because I think he's got a big arm. He can throw it. Coming out of college, people are saying that he was the best thrower of the football in his class. He could really throw it. He played at Oklahoma State, which hasn't really been the best, one of the best teams in recent memory, but that's still Oklahoma State, and he played pretty well for the team that they had there. We had injuries, as I said before. The Jets are down to their third string quarterback with Luke Falk. Big Ben out for the season. Brees out is 6 to 8 weeks. And the Giants have made a change at quarterback. Daniel Jones has come in for Eli Manning. I think this could give him a good boost. I think this could give him a great boost. I'm concerned about the Texans and the Bears. They can't seem to score more than 16 points. They don't seem to be able to score very much. When you're a team in the NFC, you got to be able to score points. And the Bears, well, they do have the defense. They don't appear to have the offense to be able to win many games. Because what happens when they play a team that is good defensively again, and like the Packers, and their defense is out there longer than they should be, because defense, you can have a great defense, but the longer they're out there, the longer they're out there, the more times they're out there, the more tired they get, and the Texans can't, and that's going to be trouble for the Bears. I see them making the playoffs, but it's going to be very difficult if they can't score many points. The Texans still can't protect the quarterback. Deshaun Watson's running for his life. They did pick up Laramie Tunsil from the Dolphins, so it's helping out there. But I still think there's room for improvement and I'm concerned about the Saints now because they no longer have Drew Brees. The Eagles have injuries, and the Browns penalties and turnovers. The Browns still turn the ball over too much. The Browns still have too many penalties. The Vikings, I'm concerned with the Vikings a little bit. They've got great D. They got a great defense. With Harrison Smith, I think. Is that the player? Harrison Smith or whatever. And they got a great defense, but they have bad offense also. They seem to have found a running game, but they need to stick with it. They should have as I said before, they should have run the ball more with Dalvin Cook, who had a great game versus the Packers. He broke a couple of big ones, one 75-yarder for a touchdown. And I think they may have had a chance to win there if they had it. I'm concerned with the Steelers and the Chargers, obviously, because no more Big Ben and bad loss and inconsistent play versus the Lions. Will they be able to bounce back? I think they can. As far as my week 3 predictions, we've got a good slate again. Thursday night football kicks off tonight with the Jaguars and the Titans. Jaguars are at home. I personally think that this will be the Jaguars' first win. I don't think they'll score many points, but I like Gardner Minshew. He hails from Washington State. Fear the beard or fear the mustache. I think the Jaguars have a better defense than the Titans, although the Titans have the better offense. But I think the Jaguars, because it's Thursday Night Football and the Jaguars are at home, I think the Jaguars get the win 20-10. The Bengals travel. Then on Sunday, the Bengals travel to the Bills to take on. The Bengals travel to the Buffalo to take on the Buffalo Bills. I like the Bills' defense and their offense. They've done a nice job with Josh Allen finding out, playing to his strengths and eliminating his weaknesses. I don't think the Bengals can win here. Andy Dalton had a good game. Andy Dalton had a good first game of the season. But not so great versus the 49ers. They seem to be missing A.J. Green a lot more than they appear to have had versus the Seahawks. I think the Bills win 21-14. I'm sorry, but for that noise, there's some guys working on the fence right now, so I hope it's not too bad. I'm gonna try to talk louder when that happens. But anyway, the Bills are taking on the Bengals. I think the Bills win 21-14. The Cowboys are taking on the Dolphins in Dallas. I don't think it's going to be close. I do think the Dolphins can put up 10 points this time. I think 35-10 will be the score. I think the Cowboys beat the Dolphins 35-10, simply because they're the Dolphins and the Cowboys are obviously better. Then you got the Packers. Then you got the Denver Broncos taking on the Packers. The Packers are incredibly difficult to beat at Lambeau Field, especially with the way the defense is looking now, and the way the offense is looking now. The offense is starting to pick up traction, and that could prove deadly for the Broncos. The Broncos may have the better defense. They have more talent on defense, but the longer they're out there, the more they have to punt. The easier it is for the Packers. So I think the Packers get the win, 21-16. Then the Atlanta Falcons, travel on to take the Colts. Now I'm not going to be shocked at all if the Colts win this game because I like Jacoby Brissett as I have said in the past, and Falcons are wildly inconsistent still. They're not. Well, I'll have to see. I do think the Falcons get the win though, 30-17. But I would not be shocked if Jacoby Brissett and the Indianapolis Colts win another game. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Chiefs. Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes. The Baltimore Ravens defense versus that offense. I think it's going to be a good game. I don't think it will be a blowout. I don't think the Chiefs will blow out the Ravens. The Chiefs currently average 34 points per game. I think that sounds about right. They did struggle a little bit versus the Raiders last week. I told you guys it was going to be closer than it looked, than people thought it was going to be. The Raiders only lost by 18 points, or the Chiefs only won by 18 points, 20-10. I think the Ravens defense proves a much bigger challenge than the Raiders defense will. But I do think the Chiefs will make more plays than the Ravens do on offense. I like the way the defense of the Chiefs is playing. They're not the best yet. There's still some question marks right now, because the points that they're giving up is still kind of high for me. But I do think the Chiefs win 34-27 at home. versus the Ravens. Then we got the Raiders traveling to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. This is a close call for me, but I think the Vikings can get the win versus the Raiders, 22-17. However, and the Falcons I think win 30-17. I don't know if I said that before. The Falcons over the Colts, 30-17. The Vikings I think can win it versus the Raiders, 22-17. Although I think the Raiders' offense has adjusted quite nicely, and the defense is, and they found some nice pieces on defense. You know, they're not the best yet. They still got some weight. They still got a ways to go. But I like the improvements. I like what I've been seeing. The Raiders did shut out the Chiefs in the second half. That's pretty good, right? We got to 28 points in the second quarter, and that was it. That was all she wrote for the Chiefs. But I don't think they can beat the Vikings. So I think the Vikings win 22-17. Then we got the Patriots getting to play the Jets in Foxborough. This is going to be a blowout. I think the Patriots can put up 40 again. I think the Patriots win 43-3. And then the Detroit Lions, and that's him for the fact that Sam Darnold's not playing, and they're down to the third string Luke Falk. I like Luke Falk also, who also hails from Washington State. But I don't see how they don't stand a chance against the Patriots, especially not now. So 43-3 is the final score in that game, I'm predicting. Then the Detroit Lions take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The Eagles, I think, are better than the Lions, though the Eagles are going to be without Deshaun Jackson this week and a couple of other players. But I think they still have more talent anyways than the Lions. And I don't expect the Lions to do what they did again versus the Chargers 2 weeks in a row. So I do think the Lions could put up some points. So I'm going to give the Lions 17, and I'm going to say the Eagles score 29. So the Eagles get the win on the road. The Eagles get the win at home, 29-17. Here's where it gets interesting, because I've got the Cardinals beating the Panthers. Now, you might say, why is that? Well, one, Cam Newton is injured. Cam Newton is not healthy right now. Number two, I liked what I saw from the Cardinals. I didn't get to watch the game because I didn't get the channel, but I was following quite closely. I was following the score quite closely, and I thought but I think the Cardinals can beat them because I don't believe in Cam Newton right now or the Panthers. So I say the Cardinals get the win 20-14 and upset the Panthers. And now the Cardinals are 1-2. Then Giants go to Tampa Bay to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Here's another game that's interesting for me, because Daniel Jones is now the starting quarterback. He has replaced Eli Manning, and I like that move. I think that'll give the team a little bit of juice, for the rest of the season. Daniel Jones looked pretty good in the preseason, and we were wondering when he would take over. We figured it would probably be around week 8, but Eli Manning has not exactly played very well the first 2 games, and as such, I think the Giants will also get their first win versus the Bucs, 21-14. I think Saquon Barkley could also have a pretty big game. It all depends on Barkley. Also, the Panthers had nowhere near of a running back that the Giants did, and if I think and maybe if they had Saquon Barkley on the Panthers, I think they may have won. But I think the Giants with Saquon Barkley and now with Daniel Jones coming in, I think they're much better now than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I expect Jameis Winston to turn the ball over because I have no faith in the Buccaneers. So I say the Giants win 21-14. Then we got the Houston Texans taking on the Chargers. I like the Texans in this one. The Chargers simply because of the defense, and I think the Texans have more offensive weapons than the Chargers do. I like DeAndre Hopkins more than I do Keenan Allen. Phil Rivers is a good quarterback still, but I think Deshaun Watson, given his youth and his athleticism, I think he'll be able to make more plays. And although the line of the Houston Texans worry me, I think the Texans will make more plays than the Chargers will. And I think the Texans. With that being said, I think the Texans win 30-22. Then we got the Saints taking on the Seahawks in Seattle. I don't think the Saints win, but I don't know. But I wouldn't be shocked if Teddy Bridgewater has a good game and they make it close. But I think the Seahawks defense is proven. But I think the Seahawks has a better defense than the Saints, and they still have Russell Wilson. So I say that the Seahawks beat the Saints 29-13. And then we got the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to Levi Stadium to take on the 49ers, the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are on a roll right now, and now that the Steelers don't have Big Ben Roethlisberger, I don't see where many wins are going to come now. Juju Smith-Schuster is the number one receiver right now because Antonio Brown is no longer there, but he's not looking like one. He hasn't shown us that capability to be able to. He hasn't shown that capability to take the top off like Antonio Brown could for him. And being a running receiver, it's not just about catching the ball. It's about you being so dangerous that it takes coverages away, so your other receivers can get open as well, and so your team has more options. And I think the 49ers have that over the Steelers right now. And the better defense. The Steelers did pick up Minka Fitzpatrick, but I don't know if that'll be enough. It's his first week with the Steelers on defense. First week. But I think the San Francisco 49ers win 34-17. The Rams, the Los Angeles Rams travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns on a Sunday night. I think this is a Sunday night game, right? Yeah, it is. The Browns are still wildly inconsistent, The Rams have a better team. They have the better defense. They have the better offense. I don't see how the Cleveland Browns win this game. The Rams win 31-18 in this one. And then Monday Night Football concludes with the Chicago Bears taking on the Redskins. Neither team is very good. Neither team is very good or consistent enough for me, but I think the Bears are a better team than the Redskins, and maybe this is the game that Dwayne Haskins. This is the week they try and get Dwayne Haskins going. They have Dwayne Haskins in there waiting, and maybe if they lose another game, maybe next week they'll start to think about Dwayne Haskins taking over. But the Bears, I think, win this game 20-17. I do think it's a close game because again, neither team can score, and I don't like the way that Mr. Trubisky has progressed. Thank you. That concludes the NFL part. Now we're going to move on to the college. I'm going to talk about college. I'm going to review the Pac-12. I think I'm going to do the Pac-12 now because I live on the West Coast, and that means the Pac-12 is the conference that my team plays in. But I will also talk about the big games in the other conferences, over the week, where I believe the upsets will happen. We got a big week this week also. We got some good games this week, so let's get right into it. Anyway, however, week 3 is. Before we do that, though, we're going to review the week. We had a good week. It wasn't great. Kansas won big, though. They got a big win versus Boston College. They won 48-24. UCF continues to win. I think they're a team to be reckoned with. I feel bad. People will say, well, they're a group of 5 team. In my opinion, they're a group of 5 teams, so they don't have a chance because they're not a Power 5 school. In my opinion, I would rather play in the national championship and get blown out rather than not being able to, not getting a chance to prove it. Not even get a chance to play in it. If I get blown out, so be it. At least we got a shot. But not being able to prove it. And there are teams in the group of 5 better than some of these Power 5 schools. Kansas is in the Big 12 right now. Do you think UCF beats Kansas? What about I think UCF beats Baylor. I think UCF would beat Iowa State. They beat Stanford last week also. We did have an upset over the week. We had a couple of upsets also. We had USC losing to BYU. BYU's good. I didn't think they could do it, but BYU did force 3 interceptions, forced 4 turnovers. The ball was intercepted 3 times. You can't turn the ball over like that and expect to win if you're the USC Trojans. What it felt like to me was Slovis was kind of feeling himself. The week. He played well versus Stanford. No one saw him coming, and maybe he tried to fill himself out. He's feeling all the confidence in the world, and he tried to burst passes that he shouldn't have because he could make them last week. Well, Stanford didn't really have any film footage of you. They didn't really have any film on him, and thus wasn't really prepared for it. BYU did have film this time because they watched the Stanford game. They started the Stanford game and they played well. Is this a good look for Clay Helton? Probably not. Lynn Swann, I know, just stepped down. So maybe this is maybe even this is the last year for Clay Helton. We'll have to see though. ASU gets a good win for the Pac-12. ASU might not score many points, but they are scrappy on defense. They beat the Michigan State Spartans 10-7. Oregon State got its first win of the season versus Cal Poly. It was a lot more convincing than last year's game versus the FCS. The Oregon State Beavers, they're looking better this year. They're not going to probably win many more games, but I like the way their defense is looking. I did go to the game on I did go to the game on Saturday, which was really fun. The defense this year, the difference between this year's defense and last year's defense is that this defense is actually getting to the quarterback. They're actually getting some pressure. They're getting the third and longs. They've got interceptions. The Beavers only had 3 interceptions last year. They only forced 3. They only came away with 3 interceptions last year, which is one of the worst in the country. This year they've gotten 3 turnovers already. They've nearly eclipsed it, and they're flying around, and the quarterback's playing well. The receivers is playing well. They lead in a lot of statistical categories. I think they're number 1 in the Pac-12 in red zone defense. They're number in a couple of stuff, even though the record doesn't show it, but this week they've got the bye this week, and then they play Stanford. But anyway, let's get into the week 3 preview. Or this is week 4. This will be week 4, I think, right? Yeah, it'll be week 4. Yeah, it'll be week 4. Oregon, 16 ranked Oregon is going to take on the Stanford Cardinal at Stanford. I think Oregon wins. Oregon has bounced back quite nicely since week 1. Lost, however, Stanford has been a tough outing for the Ducks recently, and even more troublesome at Cardinal Stadium. Stanford has dropped 2 games in a row with a 45-20 loss to USC and a 45-27 loss to UCF. Stanford beat the Ducks last year after falling behind like the Auburn Tigers did versus the Ducks. Oregon is the favorite, as they should be, because of how Stanford has played, but because it is Stanford and they are at home, I don't think it'll be as easy for the Ducks as people might make it out to be. I think Oregon does beat the Stanford Cardinal, but I won't be surprised if Stanford beats them. We then got UCLA versus Washington State, number 19, Washington State. UCLA's focus now should now be on development. They got to black out the noise right now and just focus. You have recruiting hanging in the balance. Washington State is a formidable foe at home, but UCLA can't look at it that way. They got to just focus on making it as close to the game as possible, because if they keep losing like they are, recruiting's going to get a lot harder. UCLA only lost by 10 to Cincinnati, which happens sometimes, but they lost by 9 to a San Diego State team. They look good now, though. They can only muster 6 points versus Weber State. UCLA may have missed out on a win or two because you knew they weren't going to hang with. UCLA may have missed out on a win or two because you knew they weren't going to be able to hang with the Oklahoma Sooners. Chip Kelly's task this week is trying to establish confidence. It'll be tough though, because he's sitting at 0-3 right now, but he's just got to do it. We know what Washington State represents. They got a quality win versus Houston, which is not what it's been in years past, but a quality opponent nonetheless. Washington State has all of the momentum. I think they blow out UCLA though. UCLA big, 49-14, same score as the Oklahoma game. Then we got 10th ranked Utah taking on USC. This is a big test for Utah. I know it doesn't look like they can score much, but I told you last week that Utah will be just fine. Their offense is not built to score 60 plus points or 40 plus points. They are a power run football team. They want to play they want to run the ball, score points, and play good defense, control the clock, similar to how the Beavers used to play. You know, when the Beavers would blow out teams under Mike Riley, it was rare for it to be 62-14. It would be more like 35-14, or 45 or 35-14, or 45-14, or 35-7, or 28-7, and that was fine because they could run the ball well, they could play defense, and that was it. They're not gonna spread you out like they have. Because they got a new offensive coordinator they brought back an old offensive coordinator whose mantra is power run. So yeah. Then we got Ole Miss. Then we got the 23rd ranked California Bears. Golden Bears taking on the Mississippi Rebels at Ole Miss. I think this is I think Cal loses. Ole Miss is a better team than Cal, although I think Ole Miss wins. Cal did upset Washington. Their defense is good, but their offense struggles still. Then we got Washington at BYU. I think Washington gets that win. I'll get into this a little bit later because I got my upsets coming up. And then we got Colorado at Arizona State. So this week's who I got in the upset alert, I got Utah, take it number 10 Utah at USC. It's the Pac-12 and anything can happen, as I said. Same with Oregon, same with Cal, same with Washington, same with anything can happen. I think LSU number 4th ranked LSU travels to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores. I think this is a trap game. Vandy is 0-2. However, these are the most dangerous games. LSU could overlook the opponent. I don't think Vanderbilt beats them, but just saying, I think LSU wins. Then we got Wisconsin. Then we got the 11th ranked Michigan Wolverines traveling to take on 13th ranked Wisconsin. As I said in my week 1 video, I said in episode 1, I was worried about Michigan, I said in my last episode I was talking about Michigan and how I was worried about them. I still am. I don't think Michigan beats them. Michigan hasn't beaten Wisconsin in Camp Randall since the year 2000, and the Michigan Wolverines offense and defense hasn't looked particularly very good so far. Wisconsin, I think, has the better defense, and they've showed it. They've handled their business. They haven't allowed 1 point yet versus their opponents, which you may say that the opponents they played don't stand a chance, but if you play the right way and you handle your business, those things will happen. If you play good defense all the way through, that'll happen. Because most points in those kind of games come late in the season or early when when the emotions are flying high, and each team has its score is still 0-0. UCF travels to take on the Pittsburgh Panthers. Pitt only lost by 3 to Penn State. Pitt's an okay team, and UCF needs to be careful. I do think UCF wins, but be careful. Then we got the 8th ranked Auburn Tigers taking on the 17th ranked Texas A&M Aggies. Texas A&M is favored, but I think Auburn is better than people think. I think Auburn winning would be more of an upset than Texas A&M winning, especially given Texas A&M's expectations. Auburn's the higher ranking, but you don't. Maybe people are thinking that they're ranked too high right now, and Texas A&M should be higher than they are. They did play Clemson, and they played them. They didn't play particularly very well, but they did play them tough. I think Auburn beats the Aggies in the upset, and then the next time upset alert, I got SMU traveling to the 25th ranked TCU Horned Frogs. SMU is 3-0. TCU is 2-0. On paper, TCU is the better team, but their offense averages. But their offense, the TCU offense averages just 36.5 points per game to SMU's 44.3 points per game. SMU averages more yards per game to averages more yards total per game to SMU averages 550 total yards per game to TCU's 452.5 yards. SMU also passes it better with 300 yards passing per game versus TCU's 179.5 yards per game. SMU ranks 12th in yards per game, and TCU ranks 45th in. SMU ranks 12th in pass yards per game. TCU ranks 45th in pass yards per game. And TCU ranks 61st in points per game, and SMU ranks never mind. I think this is a tough game I think this could be a tough game for the TCU Horned Frogs. SMU is probably not going to win. I think TCU does win, but this is not. But I think this is upset alert simply because of SMU. They are 3-0. They do have the momentum. They do feel like they can beat the TCU Horned Frogs. They've got confidence, but I think that could be a close game. And then the next one I have 22. The 22nd ranked Auburn Tigers. The 22nd ranked Washington Huskies taking on the BYU Cougars. I think Washington's better, but BYU just beat USC. So Washington's got to be careful. A second loss here could damage the Pac-12 for Washington, and almost certainly hurt their season. They'll still be pretty good. I think Washington gets the win, but it's going to be a tough game. Then we got Oklahoma State. Who's sitting at 3-0, traveling to Texas to take on the Texas Longhorns, who are ranked 12th right now. Oklahoma State is 3-0. The Texas Longhorns are 2-1. Oklahoma State is 3-0. I think it's an upset alert simply for the fact that Oklahoma State is 3-0 and Texas A&M is 2-1, and Texas just played LSU. So who knows what they. So who knows, So we'll have to see how that affects them. And then the big game of the week probably. It's number 7. It's 7th ranked Notre Dame taking on the 3rd ranked Georgia Bulldogs. I think I put Georgia on upset alert, but I think Georgia has the potential to blow out the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. It'll probably be a close game, but I think Notre Dame, but I don't think Notre Dame has played anyone difficult yet like Georgia has. And Notre Dame did struggle with Louisville, you know. I heard them say that Notre Dame struggles to run the ball still. They haven't been able to stop the run either. Then the next one, last but not least, is Colorado taking on the Arizona State Sun Devils, who are ranked 24th in the nation. Colorado did lose a tough game to did lose last week, but ASU's coming off an upset win over Michigan State. I think this is going to be a good game. I think ASU wins, but not by much. ASU still struggling to find themselves on offense. I think they need to feature Benjamin a little bit more. Their freshman quarterback is inconsistent, it seems, and but I think ASU wins it. I think they need to utilize their athletes more. I think ASU has better athletes than the Colorado Buffaloes, and they need to use them. So I think ASU wins. So there you have it. That is episode 3 of my podcast. Please tell me what you. Sorry if I'm talking fast. I wanted to get through this, you know. As I said before, I had this is my second attempt at it. Let me know let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What teams do you think are gonna win? Let me know in the comments below, and leave a like, share, and thank you for the support. You know, I can't do it without you guys. So thank you so much. This is Chef 2K, and you've just watched the Hess Sports Podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.